All right, YouTube automotive do-it-yourselfers. Today's video tip regards changing the battery in your car. When you change out the starter battery and you disconnect your starter battery, you don't want to lose all your memory settings for all the different systems in your car, the radio, the security system, the position of the seats, and so on and so forth. So you want to apply some 12-volt energy into the car when you disconnect your old starter battery and before you reconnect the new one. And you can do that a lot of different ways. You can buy these pre-made memory savers that connect into the OBD port. But I had to change my battery the other day, and I had to change it right now. And I didn't have time to do anything except, cook up a solution immediately. And so this is the solution I cooked up to keep my car energized while I change the battery. I took this cigarette lighter plug that just had a short cable on the end of it, and I soldered on some speaker wire, and at the other end I connected some battery clips, and I verified that this 12-volt power socket on my car is always hot, even with the key in the off position. That port is hot all the time. Now, if you've got a cigarette lighter port, you're going to want to check it to see if it's hot in the key off position. If it's not, you need to check to see if it's hot in the accessory position. And if not, you need to make sure it's hot in the key in the on or run position, because you need to be able to feed electricity in through this port into your car's system. So basically, I just took this plug, connected it to the wire, put the battery clamps, plugged that in, connected my clips to the positive and negative poles of a little 12-volt SLA battery, kind of like you'd use on a deer feeder or an uninterruptible power supply or something. And actually, almost any 12-volt battery that you can rig up is going to work. And in fact, some of these people use a 9-volt battery. But in any case, I'm feeding electricity from my external battery into the car's system. Now I can go disconnect the starter battery. The car stays hot. I don't lose any settings. When I'm finished connecting the new battery into place, I just remove my clips from my external battery, unplug, and I'm good to go. So you've also they also have available these connectors that apply power into the OBD port, and I didn't have time to go find one of those, so I just used my cigarette lighter port. They also sell these cigarette lighter plugs with a 3-meter length of wire connected to them, but I didn't have time to get that either. But I did have this plug and I did have this speaker wire. But if you have time, you can just order online a cigarette lighter plug with the 3-meter cable already attached to it and connect that to your battery. Alright, that's the little battery that I used. It's a little 12-volt 8 or 9 amp hour, something like that, external battery. I use it for fireworks firing systems, but they're mainly used in burglar alarm systems, uninterruptible power supplies, deer feeders, stuff like that. I just connected my clips on there, made sure they were secure, and then I made sure to keep those secure. That's popping off, but I kept it secure, and then plugged that in. Now, if you're going to wire one of these up from scratch, you need to understand which wire to connect to which terminal. And the way I did it, there's probably a standard. I assume the standard is that the center pin is hot. But then it may not be the standard, I don't know. I took this plug, before I attached these clips, I plugged it into the cigarette lighter in the car, and then I checked the bare ends of the wire with a voltmeter to determine which one was hot and which one was negative when this was plugged into the car. And once I determined that this was the positive, I went ahead and connected my red clip to that side and my black clip to the other side. And I assume there's a standard that these cigarette lighters use. You know, what the center pin is either positive or negative, and the side pins are either positive or negative. But I didn't know that for a fact, and there may not be a standard, so it didn't take me long at all to just plug that in and check the wires with a voltmeter to be sure I did it properly. I actually saw somebody rig one of these up with one of these little tiny 12-volt A23 batteries that you use in like garage door remote controls and whatnot. Now obviously if you used a tiny little battery like this, you wouldn't use those giant battery clips that I showed before. You'd come up with a different connection system. But the point is, be creative in figuring out what kind of 12-volt battery you want to use. And there, check that out. That's another 12-volt system. It's a backup power supply for my fireworks firing systems. If I'm out in the field and I'm run completely out of power, I can just send somebody down to the variety store or the drugstore and grab some D batteries and put them in this 8 battery holder, and I've got 12 volts. So just be creative in figuring out your 12-volt power supply.